what I'm waiting for. All right, guys, we're back, and we're going to get ready to go into game. Vetoes are done. It's iaguz versus Scarlett, and I believe, by the way, did you check with iaguz about what server to play on? Or are we just defaulting to Central?
That's a good question, actually.
I have no idea, actually, how Australia factors into this. Like, they might just be screwed equally on all 3 servers. Let's see, Scarlett and iaguz, worst case scenario, we can flip-flop, like, West Coast, Central, flip, like, type thing. iaguz just asking whether she's in Canada or Australia right now. We don't know which. Real quick, just side note to all this. Again, all players competing today will get a minimum of at least $25, but of course that amount is increased as you guys help contribute to the prize pool through the Match Arena page. So I'm actually wondering, with $408 raised, what does 8% of the prize pool look like? That is $32. That's not too bad, actually. For like 2 or 3 best of 3s that you may lose, not too shabby. Of course, first place in the group gets, well, what was 150, second place was 100, but of course we converted that to percentages because of Match Reno, etc., etc. I would like to say Scarlett is one of the players who is pretty nice about playing cross-server. There are some people who will fight tooth and nail. Like Major, for example, love him to death, but with respect, he will make a big deal about playing West versus Central. Scarlett, however, might be a little bit more lenient. She's actually right now just seeing 2 West, 1 Central, maybe swapping back and forth. Trying to give a little bit of a chance to iaguz here. And I think what I really respect about that is Scarlett, in that regards, to me, is a lot like Snoot and a lot of these other guys, where they're not trying to get a quick buck and cheese out wins. They want to play the best games possible most of the time.
Yeah. They're still discussing it, though, and taking a bit, so...
Yeah. Thank you to New Bell, by the way, for the 32-month resub. Ace Kates with a wave. Or a tail wag, I guess. I had to replace all my sheets yesterday, by the way, and I have my entire life just bought the cheap sheets at Walmart, right? Oh, here's a piece of bedding. It was like $5 for the sheet. Like, I had no idea what thread count was. I didn't really care what it was made out of. This time I decided, you know what, these sheets are probably gonna last me for like 5 years or something, I'm gonna guess. So I decided to bust out the big bucks, and I did my research, and I'm like, okay, you want high thread count, you want Egyptian cotton, you want all of these things. Oh my god, Samigro. I have never slept so well as I did last night when I finally went to sleep.
Oh yeah?
These are like, I have no idea if this is good or not. Okay, according to my phone and Google it is, but 500 thread count Egyptian cotton sheets. And I have never felt anything so comfy before in my life.
Thank you for that donation.
Oh, $5 from I Would Prefer Not To. So since I'm a bit slow, also, no, not an English native speaker, can you please tell me again why I should get Twitch Turbo or Prime, and whether it helps you guys, as it means no ads apparently. Please, not 10 benefits for me in 20 seconds, just 2 to 3 amazing. Okay, so I'll go slow because I speak fast, I know I do. Here's the cool things about Twitch Prime, okay? The #1 thing that helps us, other than the free subscription that you get, which is cool, and I love it, you get a badge for it, and all these wonderful things, is the fact that Twitch Prime, just like Twitch Turbo, means that you won't get advertisements on the channel. And while that's one thing for you to maybe be annoyed, or maybe you couldn't care less whether you watch those ads or not, we get an impression from you as if you did. So while you don't see commercials, our ad revenue thinks you did. Thus, that like penny you would have generated for us goes into our pockets. And by penny, it's realistically more like 1/10 of a cent. So
Hey, penny.
there are really great reasons to support us because it will actually help us financially, be it in small but awesome ways. But you yourself will get cool benefits like free games and free skins and other awesome things. So that's about the slowest I can speak. I feel like I really want to talk like this all over again. But hopefully that helps you understand. Also, thank you to Les Bones. If you're out there, sorry, sent me $20 on my PayPal. I can't check that because I've unlinked my Twitch account temporarily, but thank you so much. I don't know what the message over there is, but know that I love you and am grateful. Thank you. But we are getting into game 1 of the losers match. for the groups of show matches today. Quick update to the sub count, 997, 3 subscribers away from breaking 1,000 all over again. It's like that one day, Zombie Grove.
Amazing.
But spawning here in the upper right corner of Galactic Process, it's going to be the blue Terran player, iaguz, who's currently looking for a team, but on Clan Protoss now. He's been assimilated.
Almost everyone in this group has been. In the bottom left, as the pink Zerg, she is Scarlett.
Woo. I think it was you pointed out to me that Scarlett always likes to go for pink, and that one guy had stole it from her that one time.
Yeah. What a douche.
What a jerk. What a joik. To talk a little bit about this, there was some discrepancy with like what servers should be played on. I think we ruled that we would do 2 West and 1 Central, if that was the case. I guess coming from Australia is going to suffer ping no matter where he goes. But I did ask him if he was up to the challenge of this, and he was very ready to take the fight. So, well, maybe his TVP wasn't looking so hot, and Puck did some really awesome things. Maybe his TvZ is looking better, as it has classically been one of his better matchups, I feel.
A lot of Terrans are in trouble against Protoss. And most Terrans feel comfortable against Zerg, even with the Ultra stuff that went down for... I mean, it still actually happens now. The point is, in the early and mid game, usually Terrans don't really mind the matchup. But that doesn't, rule out triple Rax Reapers or... So what type of cheese can you do? Not really goes for like 4 Rax Marines anymore. Basically, it doesn't rule out 3 Rax Reaper, I suppose. But I think their map choices didn't leave Frozen available. So... this would have been the map to do the cheese on, and he didn't choose to do it. So iaguz has to pull back. Marine not able to deal with 2 lings.
Scarlett had a very interesting choice to make there. Go for the SCV building command center or kill what was in the main, but I guess realizing Reaper was coming back home, just kind of wanted to go for a scout. Was denied by the depot race, so nicely done by iaguz.
Yeah. Very small distraction right there. Just keeps the Reaper back for a few seconds more. It's still going to make it to Scarlett's base long before speed is done. But, maybe she'll have like an extra queen or more lings already have been made. Honestly, she's going for a 3-hatch build. The scouting that's going to happen from the Reaper isn't that important anyway. She doesn't have anything to hide. But it's always nice to deny information. It looks like iaguz isn't even going to really try and go into the main base. Sees the 3rd timing. It's sometimes enough.
Sorry, one sec. I forgot to update the title as well as Team Liquid, so I gotta go do that real quick.
Alright. I still think it'll be worth for this Reaper, especially when it comes around that time that speed finishes, so right now, 3:30, to try and make it into the main base, but it's going to try and leave instead. Scarlett anticipated this and almost got the Reaper. Wow, that was pretty clever. I would not have remembered that existed.
Yeah, high ground cliffs and things are kind of... It's interesting because some spots you think you can jump up are buggy, and some spots you just kind of go for it and it works. You're like, oh, I forgot I could do that. Nice.
Well, 3rd CC is on the way, and iaguz is getting a tank along with it, so a very safe build, really. You can use the tank aggressively, but it's usually not really worth to use 1 tank aggressively. This is actually the same build that Major did on this map that did lead to mech. It'd be very interesting to see if iaguz is also thinking along the same lines. Maybe they've all been talking to each other. I mean, they're all in the same clan, after all. Terrans, sometimes, same race, you have a lot of ideas to share. Maybe he'll try and experiment with mech, but I've never pinned iaguz as much of a mech player either.
No, I think for Major, it's like the treat, and we're not going to see it really again. But what am I going to get a spot to burrow? Actually, I'd say go for those 3 Overlords over the hatchery at this point. I don't know. It's unlikely you'll kill the hatchery full to death, but you would kill 3 Overlords without a question. Missing out on that opportunity, unfortunately. Queen gets a little bit low. I guess may decide to try and kill her on the way out. Decides to pick up Marines instead, but oh, that's dangerous! Because if only Queens had more range. Am I right?
Right?
Shout out to that guy in chat.
And it's going to be bio, not mech, so. Control barracks.
I thought this was just going to be a build cancel on the drone to keep it alive, but of course, detection now provided. Nicely done. What am I guess cleaned up?
Yeah. And it's not bad. It was poor quality reposition against further medevac drops. In fact, the follow-up tank attack that Major did was partially stopped because of a idle spore crawler, so never a bad thing to have. Now this, I think, is interesting. Scarlett, I feel, does like whenever she can to go for mutilating bling, unless she's forced into roaches, like on Frozen Temple against the 3X Reaper. or just an unideal map, which maybe she believes Galactic Process is an unideal map to go meet a Ling Bling. But the point is she's going for roaches, and she's getting roach upgrades as well.
Hearing you talk over yourself, it's fantastic. Anyways, thank you, Hasi, for reminding us that Zombie Grub is a 10 on the hot scale, comma, baby.
Hey. So, tank push. The Spore Crawler was not repositioned to stop the medivacs from dropping so easily.
That's the range of the hatchery. I mean, it should be obvious, but it wasn't thinking on it. She's going to continue chipping away at the rocks. And it looks like that new drone transfer might wish that it didn't, depending on how aggressive this gets.
This is really annoying for Scarlett to deal with. She had not broken down any of the rocks. She does manage to get a medevac, which I don't know if I guess they wanted to let it happen, but the tanks are doing a lot of splash damage, not quite killing the queens yet. There we go. 2 more should go down here.
Third tank comes up. So heavily disappointing watching how many shots it takes to kill queens. Transfuses are fantastic, of course, but almost has to burn scans and consider burning scans because, of course, high ground vision denied thanks to these queens. Medevac's really having a hard time getting in here. I mean, iaguz has got the potential for so much, but just can't quite get it. Scarlett may have bought enough time through sacrificing those queens.
I don't like losing 7 queens or shit like that. That's actually a substantial amount. Okay, 6 queens lost.
The base may still go down if iaguz decides to dedicate to this, but he's right now worried more about the Ravagers. That queen comes forward intentionally to soak the hits so that the Ravagers can move in for the shots. Oh my god, that was so clever out of Scarlett.
Yo, she's lost a lot in defending this though. Like, oh, okay, almost kept all the tanks alive.
iaguz playing like he's Archon moaning it.
I would say this was totally worth. He's actually going to try and leave with both. Oh, nice.
I actually think these unsieged dropped could focus on the hatchery, but he decides to just get him home safe instead. I guess it's a risk that he's not willing to take, and that's okay, but at the end of the day, Scarlett, as you point out, like, resources lost heavily in iaguz's favor. With how many queens died, you know, Scarlett's usually comfortably playing on between 7 to 15 queens. I mean, it's Scarlett, but this game unfortunately barely has 4.
Yeah, that's going to impact her creep spread as well as transfuse energy for later, and iaguz was pushing up until all of his upgrades finished. That it was a pretty well-timed push. So it's 1-1 combat shields, stim, as well as saving a couple of tanks. So he has 4 tanks, which I think is a very good number to push with, as long as you can find a good ledge to go up against. And Scarlett is only just now breaking down her rocks. They do go down, though she doesn't have to worry about the same situation happening quite like it happened. But still that she has to worry a little bit. I guess iaguz will be going towards the south. He's taking the Zelnaga. He could definitely kill her 5th, but might focus more on more of a direct push to her 3rd again. Unfortunately, iaguz is not starting 2-2 and does not have an armory, and that's a pretty big mistake. Not that he would catch up really in upgrades, I would say. Scarlett's just like, she's really running away with them, but you should still get your upgrades.
Well, Marines, of course, simming to cover some of the roaches from the top side. That's where these tanks are just getting those very nice shots. The idea of having Hydras in the army, could work, could not. I don't know. We'll find out soon. It's
pretty old school.
I mean, Roach Hydra used to be the way to play Zerg for such a long time, but 4 tanks in medevacs, easily mobile, not cut out of position. I mean, Hydras will not be able to pounce on this too easily. The
She's
fungal growths
for the new balance test, clearly.
The fungal growths will not be readily available either when the infestors pop, so she's not even going to have those right away, but Major looking to force that fight around the base.
Also iaguz.
Or iaguz, thank you. Oh, tearing on the brain.
This is a pretty nice concave for both of them, but iaguz did have the better numbers to start off with, and 5 tanks now. Now 6, this one sieges up.
And this is the importance of keeping those 2 tanks alive from earlier, really just showing through on this.
Yeah, you're going to be able to save that 1 tank as well and a good chunk of his bio.
iaguz has been doing some amazing work with these medevacs and tanks, by the way. Like, the micro here, I made a joke earlier, but it looks like it's an Archon mode player where somebody's dedicated to the tanks. He's been so diligent about not letting them die complacently, as we regularly see happen.
This tank count being able to grow, as you said, saving the 2 tanks, but also just consistent tank production. A lot of people will, like, sacrifice it for I don't know, like one thing or another. Liberators, maybe they needed the gas for upgrades, which he did, you know, he still hasn't gotten, so that's certainly something, but he has tanks rallying as well, which you're also not really supposed to get away with.
Well, this ends up working really nicely, in part thanks to all these chokes, though. I mean, the tanks are forcing all these, like, into funnels, they get lots of splash damage, concentrated fire. GG! And iaguz takes the first game of the series.
Yeah, Tank's good unit.
Tank's confirmed, very good unit. We're going to pop off to a small commercial break, guys. Just 2 minutes, keeping it sweet and short. We'll see you soon with game number 2. All right, folks, we're back, and we'll see if I can get the names correct this time around. Am I right? Spawning in the bottom left. Oh, we didn't see that. In the bottom left, it's going to be the pink Zark player, Scarlett.
But our micro supposed to be better on this server. In the bottom right, as the blue Terran, he is iaguz.
And we are playing on the central server now, so it tips the scale like from 50% to like 51% in Scarlett's favor in terms of server preference. iaguz mentioning he gets like maybe 20 to 30 more ping here. Or maybe it was 50, I don't know. The point is he gets more ping on this server than West Coast. And it's just going to be terrible for him either way because it is Australia to North America. But, you know what, being up 1-0 in the series, I don't think he's hurting too bad for having to play on Central.
He looked very good. The micro for those tanks was about as good as it could have been, really. There was one mistake with the third tank, I would say. But even then, it was a loss. You know, he only had one medevac to pick it up anyway, so that would have died regardless. The only other mistakes I saw was the macro mistakes, which he was already doing so much damage. It was like intention, like focus on the battle and then get to your macro.
iaguz's moves were almost as smooth as mine when it came to talking to the ladies at TwitchCon. Quick shout out to that video I made. Shameless the advertising in the chat, no big deal. But in all seriousness, going back to that point, if iaguz can't actually, like, maybe this 50 extra latency is the difference of him keeping all those tanks alive. Like, we watched him dance those tanks around perfectly, fantastically. But maybe the lag's just a little too much to pull it off again. I don't know. It's hard to say, because good players like iaguz also could probably compensate for that in those select scenarios. There's some things you just can't help, like Marines not listening to you for like 1 second. Like, oh god, that feels bad.
Yeah, that's true. He might not be so confident with his tank pushes. He does go for a command center first on this map. I mean, maybe he's going to go for extreme greed. New Gettysburg does usually lend itself to greedier games for both parties. And that can be what's so scary. The Zerg gets to a, almost maxed out army and they have these wide open spaces on New Gettysburg. It's usually scarier for the Terran. But then again, if the Terran gets a command center first into a quick third CC or something extremely greedy like that, and their production can actually really skyrocket. Of course, iaguz is getting a factory, got 2 barracks. Scarlett's going to be able to scout this eventually. I think she'll get up the ramp to see the double barracks, but her overload, of course, saw the command center timing.
Empty Eyes, one of our subscribers, of course, asking, what is with everyone being on Team Protoss? And I don't know, dude. I really don't know. Everyone was not on Team Protoss at the start of the day, but now everyone is. I would have to suspect this is probably Scarlett's doing, if we're going to be honest.
Probably. She couldn't convince them to join the Church of Neeb, so join the Church of Protoss.
Freaking Neeb, man. I gotta tell you, like, I still am not over how cool that was. I think we kind of knew it was going to come, just generally from the Protoss perspective of other Protoss in Korea that we've seen, combined with the fact that Neeb's so good. It's not super surprising, but still really awesome that he won the Guspa Cup.
Yeah, he got a little bit lucky with his brackets, though, which he is, again, going to get a little bit lucky at BlizzCon, because his versus Terran is actually very much so worst.
It's hard for me to say that it's necessarily like he got lucky, though, in terms of like, oh, he couldn't have won any other way, because that, to me, is what luck sounds like. But you're right, like, he did get a bracket that did lend to him having a better chance than otherwise.
Basically, he faced TY that would have been a little more questionable, but...
But at the same time, if he had beaten TY, and I think he totally has it in him to do it, then it may not have mattered, is my point. That's why I don't love that people are kind of saying that, because I agree, like, maybe TY would have knocked him out, and then it wouldn't have been super hype. But that's another world. We didn't see it happen, we don't know, and it just feels disingenuous to say that luck, because it wasn't all luck. There was like maybe like 1% luck, I feel.
Okay, whatever. So,
just personal opinion, guys. Personal opinion, sorry.
Sure. We actually like a full wall off here. I'm surprised. Well, I guess I'm not that too surprised. NG Ray's only just coming down now, and I guess he just didn't want to put them on the front lines, because he definitely could have.
Well, it's also
because the Fighty wall off.
The bunker went back by the command center too. That could have been part of the wall. This could have, like, if his priority was walling off really fast, he wouldn't have needed to sacrifice that bunker if it was just part of the wall.
That's a good point. Yeah. The double drop is commencing, and of course Scarlett sees it. She also probably had a good read on the build. There's only so many things you can follow up with. So third CC's now coming down,
Ooh,
but it's still behind in upgrades.
Her baneliness is at the third, and it actually creates a terrible cutoff. If the Marines get behind that mineral patch, there's almost gonna be no way for her to get there.
Yeah, that is very, very scary. In general, like 20 lings plus a couple of queens.
Look at the
can deal
kiting.
with this. But yeah, he's microing very well, and even if she cleans this up, okay.
I like that he didn't even bother with that other medevac. He knew it had been brought down too low.
Yeah, I guess so. She still lost a lot of lings in that defense.
Couple
I think
drones too.
Maybe it could have stuck around a little bit longer to kill more lings, but didn't want to lose the second medevac. So, oh well. You don't need banelings technically, but it would have been easier to clean up.
It's unfortunate he didn't know about the baneling position too, because like he really could have just put his back to that wall and then had three walls to like cover his Marines.
Well, with this attack over and only one medevac now available, Scarlett does get a little bit of breathing room. She will have faster upgrades for sure. She should start 2-2 immediately when this layer is done, or close to immediately. And he needs to get his macro up. He needs to get additional barracks. He needs to get his third CC landed safely. And Scarlett can afford a fourth base and a macro hatchery and all of her upgrades, including centrifugal hooks. Okay, there you go.
It's all, of course, it's hitting its stride now, but you're right, like, as those barracks finish up, as the add-ons get finished with them too, like, iaguz is going to have all the production he wants. However, he's not content just playing passive to it. 2 more medevacs heading to the south, and that one from earlier unloads to look to try and get a cancel up here to the north. We'll see what happens, because of course this is going to be a lot on Scarlett's priority of where she wants to send these units to defend. She sees the drop coming after all, so lings are already heading down south. And with the medevacs taking spore crawler shots, it may not be worth trying to unload just yet.
Yeah, I would say that's not worth. It's really so surprising how much one spore crawler will stop a Terran, but it will, especially if there's a queen to follow up with the medevac damage. So the double pronged harassment doesn't really work out, and again, Scarlett has this kind of moment to breathe where she knows there's not going to be like a direct scary push coming through her middle, and even if there was, you know, she's going to have creep spread to hold on a little bit longer while she does morph in her banelings, should she need them. I don't think she really needs them. You know, there is no push coming to the middle right now. She is missing the Xel'Naga. That is like one critique I could say. But the point is, she doesn't really need a lot of banelings. Like 6 safety banelings, that's like literally, that is pretty safe. But she could probably put the rest of her minerals and gas into Mutalisk.
Well, interesting to see Burrow. I'm really curious how she plans to use this. Maybe we'll see some TLO-style burrowed banelings, something she's also been very, very well known for in the past, but we haven't seen her do in like what feels like years. Alternatively, this could just be like, you know, burrow your drones, don't worry about the drop. I don't know. It's certainly cool to see how she plans to use it. I will say, if for no other reason than just burrowing 1 or 2 lings around the map to get scouting, it's sometimes worth it just in and of itself.
5 beat is not a ton on the way. I actually had a mineral problem more than a gas problem. There we go. 8 seems a little bit better. Upgrades finishing up. Burrow finishes up. Unfortunately, with creep spread, she won't have too many opportunities for really great burrowed baneling bombs. But as it gets cleaned up, then she can start experimenting a little bit more. Drop in the main base isn't doing too much damage, and mutas are coming back to try and take care of it, but there's not enough yet. There we go. Now getting 5 drone kills.
Yeah, one of them got picked off. For the surround on the north side, we got the banelings coming in from the back. Hits the heart of iaguz's army. Starts to split the last second, though. Goes from off creep to on creep, but either way, keeps him alive. He should be able to get a cancel on this base.
Yeah, that was really awkward. He went from, off creep onto creep backing up. So I was a little bit on Scarlett, too, trying to pounce and surprise him and just getting actually betrayed by her own creep spread.
Kind of like your body and the jelly beans.
Yeah.
Betrayal!
Yeah, actually.
I really
so
love the depot, by the way. I wish he'd repair this. This actually just saved him a lot of counterattack. But unfortunately, it looks like it's going to burn.
It is going to burn, and that's going to open up maybe a bit of trouble. Now, Scarlett is getting more banelings. She was missing the good number of banelings to deal with the main push. She only had like the emergency 6. Okay, that was sick. But now, like with almost 20, 19 to be exact, a couple more on the way, she should be safe, especially on creep. But upgrades are finishing up for iaguz. He does have Hellbats, which is interesting, as well as a fair number of Marauders to soak up the banelings. And he's just looking to continue denying a Fifth base. Now, I think it's pretty scary to go up against Scarlett because a lot of other Zergs at this point in time are trying to make their way to Ultras. They definitely are missing gas and minerals to defend against a push like this. She actually is still committing all to like layer tech units right now, and if she does swamp him, like he goes too far into creep, the counterattack can be devastating.
I'm just worried. That mute account could be either amazing or terrible. Like 20 dedicated is so scary to look at, but the Banelings roll through. Most of the Marines do focus fire, so not a problem for the Banelings. Now it's just the mutas, and Scarlett's got to make good use of 19 mutas. Can they take on this many Marines? Looks like with the Banelings, the answer is yes. Counterattack with this one on. GG gets called, and Scarlett takes game number 2, bringing her to, once again, another ace match.
There we go. Back to West, then.
Looks like there was a community update put out today. I look forward to reading into that later. Of course, we're still riding off the hype of the 3.7 announcement with all the skins, announcers, and all these other cool things. So that'll be awesome. We are going to pop off to another quick commercial break, guys. 2 minutes, back ASAP with game number 3. All right, folks, we're back. It is tied up now 1-1. So we get into the final game here of the losers match. Keep in mind, the loser of this match will be knocked out of the tournament and will be only getting 8% of today's total prize pool. We're at $411 currently raised thanks to the help of you guys through Matcherino. But of course, if you're willing to donate any of your hard-earned cash, please know that it will all go to the players. Matcherino's not going to take any cut. We're not going to take any cut. It will go 100% to the players playing today. That being said, spawning on the top right side of the map, she is defending herself once again. It's the pink Zerg, Scarlett.
Are you attacking her? She need to be defensive?
Yeah.
In the bottom left, as the blue Terran, I guess the attacker, it is iaguz.
Clearly, I was just referring to the haters of the world out there. We're always defending ourselves, etc.
You know what I told her to say to the haters? Fuck you.
Yeah, actually, if you guys didn't see Zombie Grub's King of the North video, it's on her YouTube channel, and you can see her teach Scarlett how to be super BM in real life. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Ruining
She's not
people,
BM enough in real life.
ruining people one cuss at a time.
It's her problem, man. She's a ZGB fight more. Anyway, so Frost cross spawn. Actually favorable for Scarlett here. There's another map where she could definitely go for Needling Bling, where she seems to feel very comfortable. And it's another map where I guess is going to have, well, trouble reinforcing. That wasn't really his problem on New Gettysburg, to be honest. It was just the size of the map in general, and the amount of creep spread they had to deal with, and just being overwhelmed, and his attempted attack positioning. But the point is, like, a lot of the similarities can happen here and cross spawn. Like, you go through the middle of the map in between the Xel'Nagas and the Zerg scouts you, they can try and swamp you preemptively before you're ready to go, and that could be scary.
I think, okay, so just on, and this is more based on European players generally speaking, not necessarily the two players we're watching here. We're seeing a lot of cross spawn action with TvZ, and usually, ideally, it favors the Zerg, but I don't know, I think with the pushes getting a lot more aggressive and the fact that we're seeing a lot of Terrans get much better at killing anybody before it becomes hive attack time, I guess should technically be in that category of like good enough to do that, but I'm so worried because Scarlett's one of these players where like, if she gets an inch, she's going to take a mile, and she'll just like, she'll get hive attack, she'll get ultra, suddenly she's got like creep tumors, bases galore, like it can get really bad really quickly.
Yeah, and the last game, the last build that he did, the CC first into the same double medevac drop, it really didn't seem to benefit that much from the CC first, to be honest. Like, it did around the same damage and around the same time that Scarlett was able to, defend well enough. Losing lanes is always something, but it's never enough to really feel confident, I guess, in the matchup. But I guess this game is going to go for a third CC, so that's kind of jumping off of production is going to happen a little bit later, but it's still going to set up for a very nice economic situation. And of course, he's now at this point scouted this cross position, probably not too happy with that. I think if it was horizontal spawns, iaguz would try and abuse tanks again, definitely. Maybe even vertical spawns.
I'm actually really interested, right? Because I think that the dynamic of cross spawns is not what it used to be. I mean, it's still a pretty big deal on a map like Frost. You got big engagement areas no matter where you go, but we're not really seeing a lot of games get determined by attacks up here on the cliff side or shutting down the southern base because of your spawn locations. frankly, Zerg players just in general, whether you've got lots of queens in the early game or a really nice mid-game amount of macro, like you've just got units to defend wherever you need to nowadays.
I don't know. I'd say if it was horizontal spawn where Scarlett is right now, no Zerg likes that place near their third.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say like it doesn't matter. I'm just saying I don't think it matters as much as it used to, because it used to actually be really impactful. Like if you got horizontal spawns versus Terran and HOTS, it's a very, very bad position to be in. Now I think it's annoying, and there are some situations where it can be bad, but it's not as bad as it used to be.
I certainly think it depends. It forces the Terran to change their build, especially a Terran who does like to abuse tanks might not do so quickly in cross position. So I guess, I mean, he still is going to be good with his tanks. He's still going to go for tanks, which I still like, because his Galactic Process game was really good, but it's not a 2-base tank push. In fact, it's not even really a push here. It is just going to be a Woodbine drop for harassment, and then he's got to get his 3rd base all nice and set up and saturated, and then of course much later on there'll be a tank push. But at that time, Scarlett's probably going to have a lot of creep spread, so she definitely won't have to worry about that same ledge that you have to worry about if it was a 2-base push, and she'll probably have Zonaga control too.
Well, really nice timing with the lair coming up quick. iaguz unfortunately isn't going to scout that, so just dropping over here once again behind the Spore Crawler.
Bad position. Oh, this actually get a good hit. Oh, Scarlett. Oh,
it goes on the queen. Still focusing the queen's nice. That'll keep the medevac alive actually a little bit longer. Might even get out of here. Big thank you to Manthe, by the way, for the Twitch Prime sub. Now puts us at 998. 2 subscribers away from breaking 1,000 once again. I kind of didn't think we would do this, so I don't have anything rightly prepared for it, but we will find some way to celebrate it. Yeah.
Some way. Well, the Viking is an interesting addition. It's not terrible to have, obviously, and Scarlett's not one of the players that always goes for overlord speed.
Well, I think if you watch the game with a Major, you're going to think, like, Vikings are great, because Scarlett was losing, like, 3 to 4 overlords every game, plus the scouting denial was huge.
I have never seen someone throw down 7 barracks at the same time. That might look like it's on purpose, but I really don't think it was. You're supposed to do something like 1, 3, 5, 7, sometimes 1, 5, 7, but like 1, 7 is pretty extreme.
It is, but if he's identified that Scarlett's playing passive, and she kind of is, then you get away with it.
Well, no, the point is that you've been banking up enough minerals with them on 7 at once. You probably could have started the 2 earlier.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So right now you can see that he is literally banking almost 1,000 minerals as he's waiting for all of his reactors now to finish as well on every single one of those barracks. So I think this was actually a fairly big mistake, potentially. Wait. Oh, I thought +1 was canceled. Okay, it was just oddly timed according to the armor.
That feel when Zombie Grub Senpai calls you out.
Yeah, but it's yeah, I guess he was focusing so much on the drop, and there's another tank drop over here. It might not affect the game within the next like couple of minutes, right? Because time goes by, things you did in the early game don't matter as much. But in terms of like the pace of TvZ, I would really think that Scarlett's in like a minute or two here going to be like, where's the push? Shouldn't he have tried to clear up my creep in the middle of the map by now? But he's actually still waiting on his production. Just interesting, smaller stuff. And Scarlett is really starting to push the creep straight in the middle of the map, like I was talking about. So she doesn't have to worry about the ledges being abused. It's really up to iaguz to worry about how am I going to...
Whoa! Oh! Alright, so some SCV corralling. 8 go down, but that was certainly a bit alarming, because iaguz, if he wasn't paying attention, would have lost all the SCVs.
Yeah. That was, I mean... I would say, like, if iaguz was pressuring, and now he is starting to pressure. Stim finished up. Combat Shields isn't quite finished up, but it's getting there. I would actually be scared that she just used, like, too many Banelings on that, but still seems like she doesn't have time to get more Banelings. She's going to have Mutas for this first push as well.
Hopefully, at least. I mean, there's a lot of lanes segmented for the attack on the counter, and this will catch some of the reinforcements. Depots are down, unfortunately, but it's just Lings, and I think the rally should be able to take care of this.
And it's equal upgraded Lings, too. Their 2-2 isn't done.
Yeah, iaguz is not pulling back from this, by the way. He is going to continue pressing on the front lines, realizing his Mutas out, and has to be quite careful with how he uses his medevacs. And it looks like the rally did take care of those things. Only 3 SCVs died for it, so Scarlett losing a good chunk of her army supply. It did buy her time for 2-2, but will 2-2 matter?
Maybe. I mean,
It's a
Iaguz
full-
didn't start
almost a
his
full
+2
wall.
armor. He's going to be down in upgrades no matter what, which I think really sucks because he was supposed to start that +2 armor.
If Iaguz gets the, it's all about the mutas more than anything else for him as far as snipes go. Killing Bailey's just like whatever, but that's not a full wall off. It's almost a full wall off, unfortunately. So this is gonna lose him some SCVs and some freshly dropped mules. This means he is gonna have to get damaged on the front lines, and it's no longer about posturing and playing it safe. So as he decides to dive in, more Bailey's are hatching up. Scarlett's got a lot on the way.
She doesn't really have an overwhelming amount, though, to be honest.
Oh, God.
And Iaguz is still up about 20 army supply.
Yeah. The question is like whether those tanks can get the shots, whether the mutas get the snowball. It looks like they're not quite doing it just yet, but the Marines diving really far forward on creep, getting a little bit overextended, running into those Banelings.
Very good splits, though. Iaguz is on creep, and the tanks aren't getting the best shots on these Banelings.
He pulls the Marines back behind the tanks, behind the Marauders, but it's not enough. They get slaughtered, and Scarlett with the defense looks to be good to go. Iaguz losing everything here on the front lines and back at home. In fact, the command center almost burned down. Oh.
Yeah. So many supply depots went down, but luckily so did his army, so he's not supply blocked. And Scarlett did just buy enough time. Like, she was at risk of losing her third, I would say. That was getting quite low, but she bought enough time to get an overwhelming amount and is really in control of this game now.
Thank you to Kendallarioni? Macaroni? Thank you for the Kendallarioni for the new sub hype that puts us at 999 subscribers.
Oh my
Feels
God.
good, man. And there's number 1000 itself, Kubikus. I don't know how to say your name. I love your face. Thank you very much for being our 1000th subscriber all over again as we reach this huge number one more time. We did it, fam. You guys did it. Making StarCraft great again. Missile Trade's actually gonna kill the mutas. Scarlett, don't give this away like this, man. What's going on?
She wants to. She's
I guess she
elsewhere, I guess.
just feels like she's that far ahead. I mean, she's killed a lot of work because she is ahead in a lot of regards, but I don't think giving away your lead is a good way to secure the game.
Well, she had enough minerals and gas to make 12 mutas after losing those, so she's still fine. Army supply is still that better than Iaguz, and she did get a 5th base and replenish all of her creep again. With far less crew tumors, but still around the same distance it was before the attack occurred. Now her mutas are also going to have upgrades. 1-1.
A Mocha 29, but let's just keep up the awesome work, guys. You too! And I still give you like the winky face and the pointy finger.
I see a lot of people asking if the patches have gone through, and I guess it is because there was a update from Blizzard today. But that is just the
Oh no!
visual
Oh no!
text. Well, that's almost game. Iaguz has 1 push in him, and it's going to be on creep, and Scarlett's going to have enough time to get more Banelings, I would say.
Yeah.
So, okay, he's not going to. GG.
Iaguz will unfortunately finish last in the group, but he will still walk away today with at least $32, thanks to your guys' contributions to the prize pool. But Scarlett will move on to the grand finals, where she'll fight the loser of Puck versus Major, which will be up next. So a Terran versus Protoss. We'll see how that one goes. Both players, of course, have a chance of that first place prize money. So it's weird to do the first place match first before the third and second, or whatever you want to look at it. But this match coming up is going to be worth at least $200 to the winner. 50% of the prize pool. Going to be awesome. Thank you to Marcus Wellaby for the 1001 subscriber. Nice. We're going to go to a commercial break while we get vetoes done. It'll take a few minutes, so I'm going to play some music for it, and I'm going to go to the bathroom and all these good things, so stick around, guys. We'll be back in a little bit with brand new best of 3 Major versus Puck. More sub hype coming in. DBT! All right, anyone else who subs, we'll get your shout-outs when we get back.